Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're packing our bags for a pretty incredible journey. But, we aren't just bringing a map and a camera, we are bringing the absolute ultimate travel companion, and that's mathematics. Whether we're measuring the vast world around us, planning some intricate itineraries, budgeting our money, or even just trying to understand record-breaking human achievements, math is what actually makes it all possible. Today, we're exploring a fascinating chapter called We the Travelers, and we're going to see exactly how numbers keep us moving.
Here's the mathematical itinerary for our trip. We'll start with fueling up for travel, and then adding up long distances. Next, subtracting miles and money, discovering number patterns, and finally, scaling mathematical peaks. Let's get into it.
Section 1, Fueling Up for Travel. Before we hit the road, we absolutely have to prepare, right? Running out of gas is simply not an option. Imagine you've got this heavy-duty lorry gearing up for a long haul. It already has 28 liters of fuel in its tank, and the driver pumps in an additional 75 liters. To figure out the total, we use that classic fundamental tool, regrouping. First, we align the 28 and 75. Then we add the ones. 8 plus 5 gives us 13. But here's the catch. We can't just write 13 in the ones column. We have to regroup. We take 10 of those ones, turn them into 110, and just carry it right over to the tens column. Finally, we add our tens together, the 2, the 7, and that 1 we carried over, which gives us 10 tens. So our grand total is 103 liters of fuel. Simple enough, but absolutely crucial for the journey.
And really, this brilliantly illustrates a core concept we're going to be using a lot on this trip, the relationship between addition and subtraction. It's literally a two-way street. If we know that 78 plus 164 equals 242, we automatically know the reverse. If we start with our total capacity of 242 and subtract the 164 we used, we're left with exactly 78. They are perfectly related.
All right, moving to Section 2, adding up long distances. Now that we're completely fueled up, let's scale our math up to calculate some truly massive cross-country travel.
Think about the map of India, specifically the epic North-South corridor. Back in 2019, this was the absolute longest land route within the entire country. It stretches all the way from Srinagar up in the mountainous north, right down to Kanyakumari at the southern tip. It's a massive undertaking. So let's say we break this massive corridor into two segments for our road trip. One segment measures 1,855 kilometers, and the other measures 1,862 kilometers. The million-dollar question is, how long is this entire journey from top to bottom? Just like with our lorry's fuel tank, we rely on alignment. We align these four-digit numbers precisely: ones below ones, tens below tens, hundreds below hundreds, and thousands below thousands.
By carefully adding those columns from right to left, mentally tracking the positions of the digits, and carrying over when our sums exceed 9, we arrive at a staggering total of 3,717 kilometers. That is a massive road trip, and we proved it using the exact same principles we just used to fill a gas tank.
Let's move right along to Section 3, Subtracting Miles and Money. Travel isn't just about adding up the miles you've driven. We are constantly having to subtract. We subtract to find out our remaining distance, and we definitely have to subtract to manage our travel budgets.
Let's trade the highway for the ocean. Imagine a massive cargo vessel embarking on a 2,700-kilometer sea route from Mumbai port on the west coast all the way to Chennai port on the east coast. The captain checks the log and sees they've already reached Cochin port, meaning they've covered 1,083 kilometers. We need subtraction to find out exactly how much of the journey is actually left.
So setting up the math, we start with our total distance of 2,700 and subtract the 1,083 kilometers already traveled. Notice the 2,700 has zeros in both the ones and tens places, but we need to subtract an 8 and a 3. This means we have to borrow, or regroup. We mentally regroup the hundreds into tens, and then the tens into ones. Once we do that little bit of mental gymnastics, we hit our answer. The ship has exactly 1,617 kilometers left to sail until it reaches Chennai.
And we can use this exact same subtraction method on a global scale with massive 5-digit numbers. For instance, the longest land route you can travel by road on Earth is between Tallinn in Russia and Sagres in Portugal. That is a mind-blowing 15,150 kilometers.
Now, compare that to Africa's longest highway, stretching from Cairo in Egypt down to Cape Town in South Africa, which is 10,228 kilometers. If we line up those massive numbers and subtract, we discover that the Eurasian route is exactly 4,922 kilometers longer than the African highway.
Section 4. Discovering number patterns. We've covered a lot of miles, so let's take a quick scenic detour here. One of the greatest joys of mathematics is discovering the beautiful hidden patterns hiding inside the numbers we use every single day.
Consider these sums. We're adding consecutive numbers, which just means numbers that follow one another in order without skipping. 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. Do you see what's happening here? Adding these consecutive numbers creates a perfectly predictable, growing pattern of sums. It's a fundamental rhythm just hiding in plain sight.
And recognizing patterns gives us incredible mental math shortcuts for our travels, too. Imagine a student named Namita who wants to know the trick to quickly subtracting 9 or 99 from a number without having to write it down and do all that complex regrouping we talked about earlier. The pattern is so simple. Instead of subtracting 9, you can just subtract 10 and then add 1 back. If you want to subtract 99, you just subtract 100 and add 1 back. It is a brilliant, time-saving travel hack for your brain.
Number patterns also give us what are called palindromes. Palindrome numbers read the exact same forwards and backwards. You can find them hiding everywhere, like 101 or 25,552. Mathematically, they are exactly like round-trip tickets. The sequence is identically the same whether you're coming or going.
And that brings us to Section 5, Scaling Mathematical Peaks. For the final leg of our explainer, we're going to apply everything we've learned about addition, subtraction, and aligning numbers to parse some truly extreme real-world data.
Look at these numbers. They track the unbelievable achievements of Priyanka Mohite, who is the first Indian woman to climb 5 Himalayan peaks that sit above 8,000 meters. Look at these elevations. Mount Everest at 8,848 meters, Mount Kanchenjunga at 8,586 meters, all the way down to Mount Elbrus in Russia at 5,642 meters. This isn't just a list, it is a data set waiting to be analyzed.
By visualizing these immense heights side by side, the sheer scale of her achievements becomes so obvious. We can easily start to compare and calculate the sheer differences in elevation that Priyanka conquered over the years.
For example, we can ask, what's the difference in height between the highest and lowest peaks she climbed on this specific list? We take her highest, Mount Everest, at 8,848 meters, and we subtract the lowest on this list, Mount Elbrus, at 5,642 meters. Using the exact subtraction skills we practiced earlier, we find a massive difference of 3,206 meters. That difference alone is taller than many mountains.
To end our mathematical journey today, I want to leave you with a quick puzzle about patterns to test your travel readiness. Imagine a boy named Raghu gets his grandfather's flashlight. He presses the switch once, it turns on. He presses it a second time, it turns off. A third time, it's on again. He keeps playing with it. Without doing any math on paper, tell me, if he presses that switch 23 times, will the torch be on or off? Well, think about the patterns of odd and even numbers. Because 23 is an odd number and every odd press turns it on, the flashlight must be on. Mathematics truly is the ultimate guide to the world around us. If a simple math trick can predict the exact state of a flashlight after 23 presses, what other hidden predictable sequences in your daily life are just waiting to be decoded by numbers? Keep looking for those patterns and safe travels.